African proverbs are not advice, they are spells of wisdom. Each one carries the voice of the ancestors, echoing across time, shaping minds, guiding hearts, and holding communities together. To those who have not grown up hearing them, they may seem like quaint sayings, poetic turns of phrase, or bits of folk wisdom. But to those who understand, a proverb is never casual. It is a seed planted in the mind, a force set in motion, a truth that does not weaken with the passing of generations. It is both memory and prophecy, spoken in the rhythm of the people who have walked before us. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. What's the most powerful proverb you've ever heard from your elders? Drop it in the comments and let the ancestors speak through you. How can one short sentence hold the weight of centuries? How can a few words carry law, history, moral guidance, and cosmic perspective all at once? This is the genius of the proverb. It compresses vast knowledge into a form so small it can be remembered and carried, yet so deep it can be unpacked over a lifetime. When an elder speaks a proverb, they are not simply offering opinion. They are unlocking a storehouse of ancestral thought, layered with metaphor, cultural symbolism, and lived experience. And when it is received, it doesn't just instruct, it transforms. Proverbs are the code language of African oral tradition. They are compact, but they contain entire worlds. A single proverb can teach a child patience, warn a warrior about pride, or remind a leader about the limits of power. It can tell the history of a people without mentioning a date, and it can reveal spiritual laws without naming a deity. They are cultural encryption, knowledge compressed into forms that survive migration, colonization, and even the loss of language. Wherever African people have traveled, willingly or by force, the proverbs have traveled too, carrying home within them. To understand a proverb is to gain more than understanding. It is to receive an inheritance. These sayings are not locked in books. They live in the mouths of elders, in the songs of praise singers, in the dialogue of market women, in the council of chiefs and priests. They appear in moments of teaching, in moments of discipline, and in moments of celebration. Each one is a ritual of remembrance, keeping the ancestral voice alive in the present. In this journey, we will step into that space where language becomes spellwork, where metaphor becomes law, and where the wisdom of countless generations rests inside a single unforgettable phrase. Because to speak a proverb is to let the ancestors speak through you. A proverb in the African worldview is far more than a clever saying or a cultural ornament. It is an ancestral data packet, an encrypted fragment of oral literature that carries within it the condensed memory of a people. In societies where knowledge has been preserved and transmitted through the spoken word, the proverb is both the vessel and the guardian of that knowledge. It is an archive, but one that breathes, moves, and adapts because it lives in conversation, in ritual, in the mind and mouth of each generation. Unlike a written record that remains fixed on a page, a proverb is dynamic. It can be adapted to fit new circumstances, yet it retains the core of the truth it was born to carry. This living archive is remarkable in its economy. Proverbs compress law, history, ethics, and cosmology into a handful of words. A single phrase can instruct on how to treat a neighbor, remind someone of the consequences of dishonor, or explain a moral principle in the form of an image drawn from everyday life. An Akan proverb like, "The one who climbs a good tree gets a push," operates on multiple levels. Literally, it describes communal support for someone doing something worthy. Ethically, it teaches that when a person is acting for the good of the community, they deserve encouragement. Cosmologically, it affirms the interconnectedness of effort and reward, an echo of the principle that the universe aligns with right action. Because these truths are embedded in metaphor, they are easier to remember, and the meaning deepens with time. A child may hear a proverb and take it at face value. As that child grows, lives and encounters hardship, the same proverb will reveal another layer. This is why elders often say, "You do not understand a proverb until life explains it to you." The short form makes the proverb portable. The layered meaning makes it eternal. In daily conversation, proverbs serve as a kind of shared language of wisdom. They can affirm, warn, or gently correct without open confrontation. When a market seller says to a younger trader, "Even the river that forgets its source will dry up," she is not just talking about water. She is reminding them of gratitude and the danger of forgetting those who supported you. No direct accusation is needed. The proverb carries the message with grace and authority. In dispute resolution, proverbs are powerful tools for restoring harmony. Among the Igbo, Akan, and Yoruba, elders mediating a conflict often weave proverbs into their counsel. The beauty of this approach is that it invites a reflection rather than resistance. People are less likely to argue with an ancestral truth than with personal opinion. A well-placed proverb can shift a tense conversation, opening the space for reconciliation. In such moments, the proverb becomes not just a saying, but a verdict. In education, proverbs are foundational. They appear in storytelling, where they punctuate the narrative with bursts of moral clarity. They are used to train memory, sharpen wit, and teach observation. In traditional African pedagogy, learning is not just about absorbing facts. It is about learning how to think. Proverbs accomplish this by forcing the listener to interpret, to make connections between image and meaning, between the literal and the symbolic. The African proverb is, therefore, a kind of cultural software, compact, portable, infinitely renewable, and designed to run in the minds of its people. It keeps alive the laws that govern behavior, the ethics that safeguard community, the histories that shape identity, and the cosmologies that explain the world. When spoken, it reconnects the present to the past, aligning the living with the wisdom of the dead. To engage a proverb is to enter a dialogue across centuries. To live by it is to let the ancestors instruct your every step. In many African societies, proverbs operate as an invisible but undeniable legal code, a moral and social order enforced not by courts or armed patrols, but by the weight of ancestral authority carried in the spoken word. Where formal laws might be written and stored in government archives, proverbs are stored in memory and passed from mouth to mouth, ensuring that the principles that hold a community together are never far from anyone's ears. This oral law does not require policing in the conventional sense because its enforcers are everywhere: elders at the gathering place, mothers at the hearth, traders in the market, and storytellers at the evening fire. The moment someone strays from accepted conduct, a proverb can be spoken that will draw them back into alignment without confrontation. The genius of this system is that it works subtly, embedding social expectations into the very fabric of daily speech. In the Igbo tradition, for example, truth is safeguarded not by the threat of punishment, but by the constant reminder of its centrality to life. An Igbo proverb declares, "Truth is like oil, it will always rise to the top." This is more than metaphor, it is a cultural law. It assures the hearer that deception will eventually be uncovered, and it reinforces the value of honesty without the need for formal enforcement. When a person is tempted to lie, the proverb is there in their memory, quietly reminding them of the inevitable outcome. The community doesn't have to chase them. The ancestors already stand guard in their mind. Among the Akan, responsibility toward others is woven into moral life through sayings like, "The one who climbs a good tree gets a push." On the surface, it suggests support for someone engaged in a worthy task, but it also defines a communal duty. When an individual is working toward the common good, it is the community's obligation to help them succeed. This is not simply encouragement, it is a social contract. By living under such proverbs, people learn that their worth is tied to their contribution, and that support is not charity, but a mutual investment in the survival and flourishing of all. In conflict mediation, elders often rely on proverbs as both moral compass and cooling balm. A direct accusation can provoke defensiveness, but a proverb invites reflection. An elder might approach two disputing neighbors and say, "When two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers." The message is clear. Their conflict is damaging others, and they share responsibility for the harm. Because the words are framed as inherited wisdom, they do not belong to the elder alone. They carry the weight of many generations, making them harder to dismiss. This detachment from personal bias allows both parties to receive the message without feeling singled out. In some cases, a single proverb can resolve a dispute entirely, serving as both judgment and restoration. Consider a scenario where one person refuses to share resources during a famine. An elder may remind them, "The left hand washes the right, and the right hand washes the left." This gentle reminder of mutual dependence often stirs shame in the selfish and restores harmony before the quarrel escalates. Such interventions work because they appeal not to fear of punishment, but to the shared moral universe in which everyone is accountable to each other and to the ancestors who watch over them. Through these verbal laws, communities maintain balance without rigid hierarchies or constant surveillance. The enforcement is cultural rather than coercive, and its reach is far greater because it is woven into the very way people speak and think. Proverbs make morality portable. They turn ethical principles into shared language, and shared language into lived reality. In this way, African proverbs are not just observations. They are the quiet laws of the land, spoken in the voice of those who built it. In the African spiritual imagination, words are not passive symbols, but active forces, alive with vibration. Every spoken syllable sends out a ripple, and certain arrangements of words, like proverbs, carry concentrated frequency. This is why proverbs are often described as seeds of speech. They are compact capsules of vibration that, once planted in the mind or released into a space, grow into living realities. Just as a drum beat can alter the energy of a room, a well-placed proverb can shift the atmosphere, align intention, or open a listener's perception to something they could not see before. In this sense, African proverbs are more than cultural sayings. They are metaphysical technology, designed to carry wisdom across time and space and to recalibrate the consciousness of those who hear them. This vibrational quality is especially evident in ritual and divination. During ceremonies, elders and spiritual specialists often punctuate their actions with proverbs, using them to anchor the work in ancestral authority. In Yoruba, Ifa divination, for instance, verses are filled with proverbial language that not only explains the message of the oracle, but also transmits the energy necessary to carry it into manifestation. Among the Igbo, a dibia may insert a proverb into a healing ritual as both instruction and invocation. Its poetic structure making it easier to remember, and its rhythm amplifying its spiritual potency. In Congo practices, a proverb might be spoken over an offering at a shrine, sealing the intention in both spoken and spiritual form. Divination itself often works like a conversation between the visible and invisible worlds, and proverbs are the shared language. Because they are not direct commands but metaphorical expressions, they can communicate across realms without disturbing the balance of mystery and clarity. A proverb like, "When the roots are deep, there is no reason to fear the wind," may be spoken to a seeker facing instability. On the surface, it offers reassurance. On a deeper metaphysical level, it affirms that their spiritual foundations, ancestral protection, personal character are intact and will hold steady. The proverb thus operates as both diagnosis and medicine, tuning the listener to a more stable vibration. The power of metaphor in these sayings is profound. Metaphor bypasses resistance. A direct statement can be argued against, but a metaphor invites the listener to complete the meaning themselves. This act of interpretation draws them into the truth, making it personal and transformative. In African cosmologies, the unseen is often approached through the seen. Nature, animals, the elements, because these are accessible forms through which deeper realities can be conveyed. A proverb that says, "The moon moves slowly but it crosses the town," does not need to name patience or persistence explicitly. The image itself evokes the feeling of steady, unstoppable progress. And in doing so, it imprints that truth in the mind of the hearer without a single argument. Because Proverbs operate on vibrational, symbolic, and cognitive levels at once, they are tools for opening hidden truths. They can be deployed to reveal what is otherwise concealed, to remind someone of a forgotten principle, or to unlock a perspective they had not considered. They are like keys, each shaped by generations, designed to fit into the locks of human consciousness and open doors into wisdom. This is why, in many African cultures, the person who can use Proverbs well is seen not just as eloquent, but as spiritually attuned. They know how to choose the right frequency for the moment, how to tune the atmosphere with their words, and how to wrap truth in imagery that will keep it alive in the listener's mind. To speak such a proverb is to send a vibration through the world that does not fade when the sound dies. It remains, working quietly until its truth becomes a reality. Among the Yoruba of West Africa, the proverb, "However far a stream flows, it never forgets its source," is one of the most frequently invoked reminders of identity and gratitude. On the surface, it presents a simple truth about nature. A river may wind through forests and towns, but it is always fed by its source, the origin point from which it began. Spiritually, this is a call to remember one's roots, ancestral, cultural, and familial. The Yoruba see life as a journey that can carry individuals far from home, whether physically, socially, or spiritually. Yet, no matter the distance traveled, one's character and essence remain linked to the origin that shaped them. In traditional settings, this proverb might be spoken to a young person who has achieved success in the city, urging them not to forget the family and community that nurtured them. In a ritual context, it resonates with the Yoruba understanding of Ori, the personal destiny given before birth, which must always remain aligned with its spiritual source. In modern times, especially in the diaspora, the proverb takes on new layers of meaning, speaking to the importance of maintaining cultural identity amid assimilation, and encouraging African descendants to reconnect with ancestral heritage as a source of strength. For the Igbo, the proverb, "A man who does not know where the rain began to beat him cannot say where he dried his body," is both poetic and sharp in its wisdom. Literally, it draws on the imagery of being caught in a rainstorm, soaked to the skin, and unable to explain when or how it began. Spiritually and socially, it is a lesson about self-awareness, history, and accountability. It teaches that to understand one's present condition, one must trace the chain of events that led there. Without that awareness, any attempt to resolve problems will be incomplete or misguided. In dispute mediation, elders use this proverb to encourage honesty and reflection, reminding those in conflict that the root cause must be acknowledged before healing can begin. In historical consciousness, the saying has been adapted to encourage collective memory, particularly regarding colonialism and the transatlantic slave trade. It is a reminder that communities must remember the origins of their struggles if they wish to rebuild with wisdom. In a modern setting, it is also a caution to individuals who deny their own role in the challenges they face, urging them to find the moment where the rain began if they wish to truly dry themselves. The Akan proverb, "The one who climbs a good tree gets a push," is rich with communal philosophy. In its literal sense, it evokes an image of someone scaling a tree with others pushing or supporting them from below. This support is not random. It is offered because the tree being climbed is good, meaning the person's effort benefits more than just themselves. Spiritually, this speaks to the Akan value of communal responsibility and reciprocity. The proverb operates as an ethical compass. If your actions align with collective well-being, you will not walk or climb alone. In community governance, chiefs and elders may use it to justify support for projects that uplift the whole village. In family life, parents use it to teach children that integrity and service attract help, while selfishness invites isolation. In the modern context, especially within African political discourse, it has been used to encourage citizens to back leaders and initiatives that promote social justice, education, and infrastructure. Those good trees whose growth sustains everyone. The proverb reminds us that success is never entirely individual, and that part of building a better society is actively supporting those who work for the common good. From the Swahili coast, the saying, "Wisdom is like a baobab tree. No one individual can embrace it," emerges from centuries of Bantu-Arabic cultural exchange, trade, and deep communal living. The baobab, known for its massive trunk, stands as a symbol of longevity, resilience, and shared resource. Literally, its size makes it impossible for one person to wrap their arms around it. Spiritually and socially, it is a humbling reminder that wisdom is vast and collective. It cannot be contained by a single mind or viewpoint. This teaching discourages arrogance and individualism, emphasizing the necessity of learning from others and contributing to a shared pool of understanding. Among the Swahili, this proverb has often been used in community councils to remind leaders to seek counsel before making important decisions. It is also invoked in educational contexts, encouraging students to approach learning as a collaborative endeavor. In today's world, the baobab image resonates in conversations about global cooperation, interdisciplinary problem solving, and cultural exchange. It calls for the recognition that no one person, no matter how learned, holds all the answers, and that our greatest insights emerge when many perspectives meet. Though each of these proverbs arises from a distinct linguistic and cultural environment, they share structural similarities and philosophical depth. They all use imagery from nature, streams, rain, trees, to convey truths about human conduct, relationships, and the moral universe. This reliance on natural metaphor is a hallmark of African oral literature, grounding abstract wisdom in the tangible world so it can be easily grasped, remembered, and transmitted. Moreover, each saying reinforces core communal values. Remembering one's origins, seeking self-awareness, supporting righteous efforts, and embracing collective wisdom. In the Yoruba proverb, the call is toward gratitude and alignment with one's source. In the Igbo proverb, the call is toward accountability and the tracing of causes. In the Akan proverb, the call is toward solidarity and mutual aid. In the Swahili proverb, the call is toward humility and shared learning. These values are not isolated moral suggestions. They are interwoven strands of a social fabric designed to maintain harmony, resilience, and growth within the community. In the modern age, these proverbs have not lost relevance. If anything, their meanings have expanded. In a time of mass migration, climate change, political upheaval, and global interconnectedness, remembering one's source is a form of cultural preservation. Tracing where the rain began is a strategy for addressing systemic injustice. Supporting those who climb good trees is the essence of community organizing and grassroots activism. Recognizing that wisdom is too vast for one mind is the key to collaborative solutions in a fractured world. These proverbs endure because they are not just sayings, they are living codes. They are portable philosophies that have traveled with African peoples across oceans and generations, reshaping themselves to meet new contexts while retaining their ancestral core. When spoken today, they carry the same vibration they did centuries ago. A call to live in balance, to honor our connections, and to see ourselves as part of something much larger than the individual self. To hear them is to receive not just advice, but a fragment of an ancient worldview. A reminder that the ancestors still speak if we are willing to listen. In the rhythm of African life, proverbs have always been carried in the breath of the people, passed from mouth to mouth, from the seasoned wisdom of elders to the eager ears of the young. But in the modern world, this chain of transmission is under threat. Globalization, with its relentless push toward uniformity, has swept through villages and cities alike, often replacing indigenous languages with colonial tongues and favoring fast, consumable content over the slow, deliberate poetry of oral tradition. As languages weaken, so too do the proverbs embedded within them. The meaning of a proverb often depends on its original rhythm, tone, and metaphor. And when the language fades, these elements can be lost or flattened into translations that fail to carry their full weight. This erosion is not just a loss of beautiful sayings, it is the loss of an entire mode of thinking. Proverbs are cultural memory in compressed form. When they vanish, so do the values, histories, and problem-solving strategies they contain. The shrinking number of fluent speakers in many African languages has meant that fewer children grow up hearing these sayings in their natural settings. Instead, they encounter snippets in textbooks or decorative prints, stripped of the context that gave them life. In urban centers where English, French, or Portuguese dominate, proverbs can become relics, known by name but not in use. In traditional societies, elders have always been the living libraries of this knowledge. They carried thousands of proverbs in their memory, ready to be summoned in conversation, teaching, or conflict mediation. These elders were not simply repositories, they were interpreters, skilled in matching the right proverb to the right moment, delivering it with the tone and timing that made it resonate. Their role was not passive but active, ensuring that each proverb was more than a recited line. It was an arrow of wisdom shot straight into the heart of a situation. As elders pass on without passing along their full store of knowledge, these archives vanish. Yet there is hope in the revival efforts taking shape across the continent and the diaspora. Digital technology, while part of the disruption, is also becoming part of the solution. There are now mobile apps dedicated to preserving and teaching African proverbs in their original languages, complete with audio recordings from native speakers. Podcasts feature episodes where elders and cultural historians unpack the layered meanings of a single saying. Social media accounts post daily proverbs alongside short videos explaining their relevance to modern life. Cultural festivals too are stepping into this space. In Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and beyond, heritage events now include proverb competitions where young people are challenged to recall, interpret, and apply proverbs in front of an audience. These gatherings are more than entertainment. They are training grounds for the next generation of proverb keepers. The digital age, with its speed and global reach, may yet prove to be a bridge rather than a barrier. If harnessed with care, it can carry these ancient words into new spaces, ensuring that African proverbs remain what they have always been: living, breathing wisdom, capable of guiding not just the past, but the future. African proverbs are not the faded echoes of a distant past. They are living voices, still breathing in the present, still able to shape the future. They are the distilled essence of centuries of experience, observation, and spiritual insight, wrapped in images simple enough for a child to remember, yet deep enough for a lifetime of reflection. Each time a proverb is spoken, it is not merely the speaker's voice that is heard, but the resonance of countless ancestors whose lives and lessons forged its truth. They are bridges, carrying the wisdom of the old world into the challenges of the new, reminding us that no matter how fast the world changes, the laws of life remain constant. To let these proverbs fade is to sever a line of inheritance that connects us not only to our own people but to a vast human tradition of speaking truth poetically and powerfully. It is to silence the counsel of those who faced storms and still built, who navigated hardship and still found joy, who understood that wisdom is not hoarded in books but lived out in the open air, under the sun, in the presence of others. This is why we must not only learn them, but use them. A proverb gains its strength not from sitting on a page or hanging on a wall, but from being spoken into the fabric of daily life, at the dinner table, in the marketplace, in moments of decision, in times of conflict, and in celebrations. The act of speaking a proverb is also the act of passing it forward. When we share them with our children, our friends, our communities, we are ensuring that the voice of the ancestors is never silenced. We become living carriers of wisdom, adding our own breath to the long, unbroken chain of those who have kept these sayings alive. Each time you choose to reach for a proverb instead of a simple opinion, you are choosing to anchor your words in something older, deeper, and far more enduring than the moment itself. This is your invitation. Learn them. Seek them out in their original languages. Taste the rhythm. Understand their imagery. Use them, not as ornaments to make speech beautiful, but as tools to make life better. Let them be your compass in times of uncertainty, your shield in moments of conflict, your bridge in building connections. And then, pass them on. Share them as your elders did, not in lectures, but in moments where their meaning can land with the most force. So I leave you with this blessing. May your mouth carry the words of the ancestors, and may your tongue plant seeds that outlive you. May you speak with the weight of history and the lightness of truth. May your voice be a river that never forgets its source, and may your speech be a tree under whose shade future generations will rest. If these words have stirred something in you, do not let it fade when the screen goes dark. Carry it with you. Share a proverb with someone today. Speak it into the air as if the ancestors themselves were listening, because they are. And when you do, you will find that you are not simply quoting the past. You are allowing the past to speak through you, shaping the present, and preparing the way for all that is yet to come.